Hey everyone, and welcome back to another CCN video. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Lucas, which is Luke's younger brother. Now, Lucas is either a really strong support paired with Luke, or he's kind of like a okay replacement for somebody like Veronica if you don't have her, just as like a sub DPS that does some AoE damage. One of the things I've come to notice is in Chaos, even if you aren't like in the Fire Chaos dungeons, there tends to be a decent amount of nodes that contain fire element weak enemies that are all AoE. And I tend to fail on some of those runs because I don't have, Veronica on my team at that point, and I run into, a really strong fire element boss that also has minions that you kind of have to clear. So Lucas would come in clutch there. I do have Veronica, so it makes it easier for me to deal with most of the time. However, Veronica, I think, sometimes does rely on her ballista becoming giant ballista. And if you don't, I think the run does get a little bit harder, especially if you're pairing her with like a Rin or single target damage dealers. Luke has a little bit of a benefit outside of like Veronica whenever we talk about his epiphanies. Okay, so we'll talk about that. I do need to let you guys know that he is Manifest Ego 6. Now, I've only spent the $10 on the game. The thing is currently on the limited time banner, he is one of the 4 stars that you have a higher percentage of getting. So I just got a bunch of copies of him, which is why he's there. So it's not like I spent a whole lot of money or anything like that. It's just I was lucky enough to get 6 copies, but these do matter, right? So the first one does not matter too much. I will talk about this card in detail because it's either really terrible and you should remove it from your deck, or it's pretty strong when it comes to Luke. So his bullet card damage is increased by 20%. This is really good if you want to use him as a sub DPS. He gets the 2 potential upgrades on 5 and 3. Here, this is his ego skill. He gets 50% additional damage, and you get to draw 3 cards instead of 2. This is a really cool ego skill, by the way. And then 5, I already talked about that. 6 is the cost of the first launcher bullet used each turn is reduced by 1. This is also a very important manifest ego. Okay, now let's talk about his cards. So his 3 basic cards are just bullets and then a shield. As always, we tend to want to remove this 3rd card, which is the shield. In this case, it's not really going to do anything because Lucas is there to either do a little bit of sub DPS or to really just focus on boosting up Luke. So the machine gun here does have the bullet subtype because on the potential side, we do have this unlocked. So that is important, but you should be unlocking this on any character that you're running anyway. So when it comes to his first possible Epiphany card, Extended Magazine, this is what creates his own unique bullets. Now, the thing to know here is these are launcher bullets. They are not handgun bullets. So it is different from Luke. And it's important to distinguish that because some of Luke's cards only benefit handgun bullets. Some of Lucas's cards only benefit launcher bullets, but then there are some overlap between both Luke and Lucas where it just specifies bullet, okay? So his launcher bullets, all of them are like a high percentage to a single target with a smaller amount being dealt to all enemies with an additional benefit. So all of these are actually quite good. And if you have him Manifest Ego 6, the first time you use one of these, it'll be cost 0. So that's also really cool because he's not super AP hungry, right? All right, so let's talk about the Epiphanies because the first upgrade is at the start of the turn. You create one of these and it has the lead kind of header, which means you have a 50-50 chance of it costing 0, but you have to play it as your first card. Now, if we look at the Epiphanies, the best one, in my personal opinion, is this one, Extended Magazine. And I would even go as far to say that you want to try and copy this. But if you can't copy it, it's okay. But the fact that it changes this to initiation instead of lead means that you are going to start with it in your hand. And the cost goes down to 0. So every turn, you're just creating a launcher bullet, which is awesome, right? This is an amazing, amazing upgrade. Great Epiphany. Here, at the start of the turn, you get to create 2 launcher bullets. This is also good. The problem is you don't have the guarantee of starting with it in your hand. This is a guarantee that you're always going to have launcher bullets, so you'll always have the AoE. You know what I mean? So this is the bigger thing here is the initiation, but on top of it, with it being a 0 cost card, is just, it's so hard to compete with. This is okay. And I'd probably say it's still serviceable, but if it ever comes up with this one on the left, you're never choosing it. So this one is, same thing, but it has a 50% chance to decrease the cost of the cards by 1 for 1 turn. I mean, this only really comes up if you're duplicating this, because if he is Manifest Ego 6, the first launcher bullet that you use anyway is going to be cost 0. This gives you a 50% chance to draw one. And then this one creates 5 launcher bullets, which is kind of cool, but it does turn it into a skill and not an upgrade. So it's a completely different kind of, deck building for this card. You really need a lot of high AP, because even though your first launcher bullet is going to be reduced by 1 if you have him Manifest Ego 6, the issue is the other ones are still going to cost 1. But it is a lot of AoE, which is nice. So to recap, the one that costs 0 and has the initiation is a big deal. When it comes to his ego skill, I think this is like amazing, right? 300% multiplier to all enemies is already strong, but then drawing 3 is huge. There's a lot of times where with Luke, you're missing like 1 or 2 bullets to really just pop off for the turn. This can get you there, 100%. I don't think there's any team composition that does not want to see you draw 3, right? On top of that, you also get damage. So this is one of the better ego skills I've seen like across any character, and the fact that it's on a 4-star is really cool. All right, so now the Epiphany cards is where things get like really interesting. It's either you really want to focus on him being a support for Luke, or he's just going to do his own thing. And this SSS card is a perfect example. So the baseline is 114% damage, and then you also get 40% bullet card damage for the turn. So you want to lead with this, and then you want to use the rest of your bullets because now they have 40% additional card damage. But when we look at the Epiphanies, so the first one is just a higher damage multiplier. The second one is more of the support card, where for 2 turns, 40% bullet card damage. This does not say launcher bullet, right? This is the overlap, where handgun bullets also fall under here. So you'll get plus 40. This is huge. Additive for small, like damage multiplier cards is a huge deal. If it's multiplicative, the amount is much lower. Anything under like 100% damage percentage multiplier, you want to see an additive, like a plus sign here, instead of a by indicator, because that means multiplicative. So for 2 turns, you're getting plus 40% bullet card damage for your Luke. Here, this is plus 60 damage per bullet card in hand, so this just turns into like a huge nuke. There's also a world where if you wanted to, you could just have a whole bunch of like handgun bullets with Luke in your hand, and you can make Lucas your main DPS. Like you can have Luke be your kind of support guy who's just like applying marks and stuff like that, because his handgun bullets do that. And then you can come in with like a huge nuke on this SSS middle card here and just do like huge multiplier, like 600, 700% multiplier, which sounds fun. This is 120% damage of the next bullet card. This is okay. This pairs well with Luke's like main bullet card that has a high damage multiplier. I forget the name of it right now. And then the one on the far right is for 1 turn when using bullet cards, 50% fixed damage to a random enemy. This is okay. It kind of plays into his last Epiphany card that we'll talk about, but this is only going to be good if you are just using him as a support for Luke. However, I do believe that the skill card increasing the bullet card damage is a little bit better than this one, but this also plays into him just being a complete support for Luke. Okay, Flamethrower. Also, this is not a bullet card. Neither is this, so you do have to keep that in mind, right? The only bullet cards are the ones that he generates or his machine guns. This is a high damage multiplier to all enemies, though. And then you get to draw a card and then discard one. So this is a good kind of like hand smoother card. Here, it's the same percentage, but you draw one and then discard 2. But then you create a launcher bullet equal to the number of cards discarded. So you can create 2 launcher bullets. So if you're really in the need of a pinch for like multiple AoE cards to deal with some enemies like in a pinch, this is a pretty decent one to do. This is just a really high damage AoE card. I tend to like this card, in all honesty, like this Epiphany, because when I am using the AoE cards of Lucas instead of like my handgun bullets or the single target damage from, like a Rin or something like that, it's because I need to clear the minions or the little, side ad guys, and I just want my AoE card to get rid of them that turn. So if I can increase the damage multiplier, that's a pretty decent option here. This one is also a high multiplier with a crazy amount of damage if you can crit. Now, with this not being a bullet card, the issue is it's going to be hard to hit, like to guarantee this being 100% crit, because it doesn't have any critical damage on it. And the partner that I have him with that increases crit damage and crit rate and stuff like that, I don't know if it's bullet related. I thought it was, but maybe it isn't. He can help if possible. If it's bullet related, it doesn't help. Okay, so this one is exhaust up to 2 bullets in hand. And again, it's not launcher bullets, so it can also be Renoa or Luke's bullets. 300 damage to all enemies, and it increases damage amount by 50% for each exhausted. So this can go up to 408%. But you do have to exhaust bullets. So this does get the job done if, again, you need a huge AoE in a pinch. But other than that, it's kind of just, giving up the looting ability or the hand smoothing of the original card and just increasing the DPS. So this is okay. Like this gets the job done. Same thing with this one. But you do need bullets to kind of make it work, where this is just outright straight more damage. And this one's also interesting because remember, all the launcher bullets are AoE. So you'll need some more AP, but it is one of those things where you're going to get more opportunities to take out the ads if this card alone will not help get you there. So pretty cool. Okay. Then Flashbang, 130% damage to all enemies, 2 weaken. Now weaken is pretty cool. It helps you, sustain a little bit. It doesn't amplify your damage. It just amplifies or decreases the amount of damage you take from the boss. And then also if the target has shield, you increase the damage of this by 50%. I have seen on higher stages of chaos and stuff like that, shield tends to be a thing, and it's also pretty common In the green chaos dungeons, which is where Luke is quite strong. So this is very strong in Luke's chaos element. All right. So here, this is just increased damage if they have the shield. Same thing with the weaken here. This turns into a skill. For one turn, when hitting a target with shield, you increase your damage. So this is kind of just like a nice support. Although with it being a skill, this is, one of those things where it's just, do you have the cards to kind of pop off, or is this a wasted card, right? This one is 205% damage to all enemies plus 2 passion weakness. So it applies weakness to your passion cards. This is okay. I think the thing that is really beneficial to this card is the fact that it has retain. This one I also like because it changes the weaken to mark. So mark is the thing that increases your damage. And it also increases your tenacity damage. So instead of weakening your the damage that you take, or reducing the damage that you take from an enemy, you're now increasing the damage that you do to the enemy to kill them a bit quicker. And then this one's also really cool. It's just an upgrade, so it doesn't even matter if you don't have all the cards necessary. It is a smaller amount of damage to shield enemies, but at the same time, it's guaranteed for the rest of the fight. So I tend to lean more towards cards like this. If I were to put a preference, I'd say these last two are probably the strongest. And then last but not least is this RPG 7. Now, this card is either really cool and strong with Luke, or it's absolutely terrible. The thing is the cards need to be exhausted. That doesn't mean that you use a bullet. So like his basic cards, his basic machine guns, they don't get exhausted. They just go to the discard pile. Exhausted means like once you use them, they're gone forever. So it has to say exhaust here for this to go off. And it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. It's like 60 damage or something like that. But whenever you start chaining off like 7 or 8 handgun bullet cards with Luke, that adds up over time. And the fact that it's an upgrade card, it's just like these little pips of damage throughout the match. So it could end up being quite strong, but you really need to pair him with Luke. When it comes to partners, see, this one is okay because it does increase the launcher bullet damage, and it also increases his basic card damage because they're bullets as well. Whenever a combatant lands their first critical hit, bullet card damage increases by 15%, so that's okay. Okay, so this does increase your critical chance of all attack cards. I thought it was bullet cards. So this is an okay partner. It's an okay partner. Other partners that you can use, I need to take a look actually at the other hunters. So what's this one? Critical chance. Oh, this is a straight up increase, so that's kind of nice. Janet is basically just for Luke because it's handgun bullets. Kiara, 10 or more. Nope, she doesn't do anything. And at the start of the turn, damage of 1 attack card when the combatant generates a card. So this one is most likely best. Yeah. Carity is pretty good on Luke. But we do have a COD leveled up because he used to be on our Luke. I think I said Lucas. Okay. Couple quick things. My save data isn't great. I've been trying to do some stuff here. However, you do see that I was able to get the extended magazine initiation Epiphany, and I was able to duplicate it. So that's cool. I wasn't able to duplicate the SSS or the RPG. So he's kind of like a mixed bag right now. I wasn't also able to remove the shield. This is nowhere near impressive save data. I'm hunting for it now, though. I'm starting to do like deep trauma runs and things like that in Zero System to try and get perfect kind of deck for Luke. But we're going to try and show you, an okay run with Luke and Lucas. Hopefully show you like the RPG 7 and things like that. So, His unique cards, whenever you generate a launcher bullet, that's what this damage comes from. His basic cards are his basic like handgun bullets. Sorry, not handgun bullets. His machine gun bullets here. So this is all just from having multiple copies of him. I haven't leveled any of this up other than here and one copy here for a little bit of crit damage. And he does have like 1 or 2 unique cards in the current save data, but it's really not that important. Okay, and then when it comes to memory fragments, all I have right now is just passion damage. And this is whenever you use upgrade cards. So this is going to be more of a sub DPS kind of thing if you have a bunch of upgrade epiphanies on Lucas for Luke. But this isn't really pertaining to anything. So he's got crit chance, he's got attack percentage, and then he's just got like some random pieces of gear over here. Okay, so let's take him into a run. Just show you an example of some of the damage output, how he pairs with Luke, and yeah, all of those things. So we'll try running this here. Just to give you an example, I don't know if they're going to die or anything, but that's what we'll do. When it comes to just the people that he pairs with, you want to pair him with people that have bullets, right? Because when you have the overlap of your skills where you're increasing the amount of bullet damage, that's where you really want to focus on Luke or Renoa. Other than that, you're really not going to bring him in unless you need him to be your AoE for fire. All right, so let's see what we can do here. You should be like, this is an instance where you can certainly use Renoa, but this is where we get to have, we start off with our launcher bullet initiation, which is really cool. All right, so we do get off to a hot start here with Luke and Lucas. Put up the shield that does nothing, but will burn the card. Okay, so here are the 2 launcher bullets. You see that they cost 0. Sadly, Lucas's upgrade is only increasing handgun bullet card damage. It is not increasing Lucas's launcher bullet damage. So that is a bit of a bummer, but we still will use this upgrade card anyway. See if we can draw into some stuff. So no shield on the enemy, but we will put up some weaken. We'll also use deadly shot. And we'll put impair. Yeah, we'll just use impair here. So when it comes to impair, it decreases the shield gain amount. So if he ends up putting up shield, we have that as an option. So let's see if we can get this RPG. All right, so here's the RPG. And we're going to go off with our Luke now. So we'll put up the mark. There's the RPG. So the 61, right? We use the handgun bullet again. There's the 61 from Luke again. Another handgun bullet. 61. Okay, 61. So you see, like it's kind of like just continuous adders, which is fun. And again, this is not like the ideal spot that we should be using this, but it's just kind of neat to see these 2 brothers kind of together. So here we do have Lucas's ego skill. So if we brick next turn, we can use the ego skill, and we can also help it take out some of these enemies. I don't want to use it right now because our hand is full. This is also a great time to use the SSS because we're going to fire off a bunch of bullets. So you see, we're doing main damage to the boss, and then we're doing the AoE damage to the little minions here. So if we wanted to do that again, we can, because we have enough here. And now we'll use his AoE, and we drew our 3 cards. So we took out the minions, and this is what I was talking about. Like, he's good coverage. He's good coverage against AoE stuff like this, where you want your main guy to just be focusing on the boss, and then Luke is kind of doing just like the cover up, like helping you deal with coverage. Okay, so our hand is full. We're just going to be going off here. So this boss, we also should not be doing this because he just counters, but we're just, here's all of the 61 damage, and then we'll have this huge hit from Luke at the end here with Lucas. Now, these little chip damages, like, they do matter, right? All those little things came into play, helping us beat this boss. So, at least wave 1. Okay, so back to this. Target does not have shield, so we'll apply weaken. Have him do less damage to us. There's that RPG again. Right here, like, we have some okay stuff going for us, but we do want to try and draw into our stronger skills. So let's go flamethrower, see if we can rummage into something. Not great, but we will increase our bullet damage, even if it's just a little bit, because we do have a lot of AP in our hand. And then we'll quick shelling. Okay, and then we'll heal. Okay, so I think you get the gist. He's basically there, like I said, to assist Luke by just doing massive amounts of damage with his own bullets, while helping with a little bit of like that chip damage here and there, drawing into more of our cards with his ego skill. Yeah, I think that's the best way that I could put it. Limiting the amount of damage that we have. So yeah, basically anytime we're using our big handgun bullets, we're just doing additional little chip damage anytime we get our handgun bullets off. So just chip, 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 chip. Adding 60 damage on top of every single handgun bullet that we use is no joke. Because like I said, we've used like 8 or 9 of these handgun bullets. So, I mean, that adds up to like 400 additional damage each turn on the times that we go off. I love how stupid the AI is in this. So yeah, we just continue to use all of our big our big damage dealing bullets and just get that little chip damage. So he's the perfect pair with Luke and Renoa. I think he's much better with Luke than Renoa because Renoa, you tend to not exhaust the dirge bullets, but you still can increase the damage of the dirge bullets, with the SSS card or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of just the two brothers being paired up. You do see a little bit of the damage from Luke, like he's not a bad DPS. So yeah, that's it, guys. If you have Luke, let me know if you're using him. Sorry, Lucas. And if you're enjoying them. I've had a lot of fun. I do like pairing the brothers together, especially like in Green Chaos runs. But yeah, that's what we got for you today. Appreciate you watching. Catch you on the next one. See ya.